Hey everyone, What's Bitten here. So we go to Game 5 of the U.S. Masters 2015. This tournament is 6 games. We played 4 games on day 1 and 2 games on game 2. And about the time that we're driving home from game 4, I'm in the car with Lord Inquisitor. He's staying at my house for the weekend. He's in my gaming club. And we look on our smartphones and see that he and I are matched up against each other the next game. You've got to be kidding me. This is the U.S. Masters. There are 80 people from all over the country, and my Game 4 and Game 5 are against people that I play all the time. So, awesome. Yeah, freaking-tastic. Plus, the games against Lord Inquisitor are always really good, but I don't want to play him in a tournament. So, look at his list. He's got a couple saber tusks spreading out across the board. Now, you might notice that we're playing on the exact same table that my game just prior to this was, and we swapped sides, or I swapped sides, and he's doing the same thing in his game that I did in my game. That is, he's hiding behind that hill. He's hiding behind that hill to give himself options about, can you hide your army? Who forces the charge? Whoever steps up on the hill might be at a disadvantage, things like that. The difference is I've got comets and I don't need line of sight. So I actually kind of really like deployment actually. So starting on the right, he's got a unit of Gnoblars, an Iron Blaster. In front, he's got a small redirecting unit of 3 Bulls. Behind it, he's got his obligatory unit of Iron Guts with 3 characters. I'll go over them in just a second. Then he's got a Thunder Tusk. Then a unit of 6 Man-Eaters. These have poison and are stubborn. Brace of Pistols and the Razor Standard. So, as a Bretonnian player, I really, really cringe with this. Anything stubborn is rough, and these guys are Strength 5 armor piercing, so they're just going to chew through any knights that I put up there. Excuse me. So, yeah, that Man-Eater unit certainly scares me. Then, with the Iron Guts, he's got a Tyrant, a Battle Standard Bearer, and a Slaughtermaster, with, fairly typical builds in there. Of course, the Tyrant was Sword of Anti-Heroes. That's a great build against Bretonnians if they're doing character walls. The other Trickster Shard seems like a small thing, but it's huge because it really can negate ward saves for my whole, everybody in contact with his unit based on where he puts his character. So, sorry guys, I'm still fighting the cold. So I'm in the far corner. My prophetess all the way out of a unit, all the way in the corner. Again, her job is to cast comets, and and I don't mind just 6 dicing them and taking some miscasts as long as she's not in a unit. I just want to make sure that she's out of sight and possibly out of range with that Iron Blaster, and make sure that I don't give up easy points to a Saber Tusk. So I pretty much knew kind of how I was going down before I saw where my opponent was, and when I saw him hugging that corner, I was elated, because I can make up that ground as quickly as I want. I don't need to get in combat turn 2 or turn 3. I'd rather have some time to burn through his Dispel Scroll and land some comets. It takes 1 or 2 comets, and all of a sudden his Man-Eaters and his Iron Gut units are very, very manageable, and his Thunder Tusk and his Iron Blaster and that unit of Bulls, the 3-man unit, may very well be dead. So I'm very happy with that. This is the unit that has a +1 movement banner and has both my paladins, one of whom has the +D6 in the first turn it charges. So I want to use this unit to threaten his Iron Blaster. I don't see him allowing me to get off a lucky charge, but if I can hit the Iron Blaster and overrun off the table or something like that, I might consider it. But even if I don't do it, I like him just posing threats. My general on the Pegasus is hiding behind the house. The Iron Blaster really concerns me. And you can see these guys over here. Let's see, that's Vanguard. So I'm using that hill as well with my Peg Knights. He can't charge me if he can't see me. So I kind of like the idea of parking those Peg Knights at the foot of the hill where he can't see me, and using him to block up his troops so I can land comets behind him. And the most he can do is charge me, but the magic phase will happen before combat, and I might just blow things up before we get into combat. So that's something to kind of think of those Peg Knights over there. Obviously, Ogres win the turn to go first, and they move up. As you can see, the Bulls very aggressively take the corner of the hill. Everybody else just does that. Yeah. It's really counterintuitive for me sometimes, thinking that hills block line of sight, because like his man-eaters can't see me, and that's kind of weird. And over here, these saber tusks are just going to be a pain in my side. I really need to get rid of them. I love that I gave a paladin the ruby ring, because it allows me to throw just, 1 or 2 dice at that, and my opponent has to decide, does he let that go through and possibly lose a saber tusk every turn, or does he keep his dice and try to stop a comet, which he may or may not be able to stop. I really like forcing hard decisions like that. And yeah, just this guy's moving up. It's a beautifully painted army. You should have seen it before if you watched my channel. And nothing of significance happens in the magic phase. So we go to Bretonnia turn 1. My general, I'm really making a mistake with him. Basically, I'm hiding him behind the building because I'm so worried about his iron blaster. What I need to do is get him, maybe do some hill jumping behind hills to where his iron blaster can't see me. The problem is there's no way to the left I can fly him that his iron blaster couldn't move a little bit to my right angle and see my general. So I don't feel like I need the general to do what needs to be done this game, but certainly he helps. Is be especially helpful against that Thunder Tusk. Anywho, looks like that. Here I decide I didn't want to charge these guys and win and then get countercharged by stuff, because his man-eaters would certainly wreck my guys. So what I did instead is I just parked them right in front of the bull. So I'm basically saying I'm just trying to clog him up so I can start throwing comets right behind that hill. If he charges me, certainly it's risky. He'll have a charge, he'll have down a hill, and he'll get impact hits. And I may not be able to stand up to that. But if I can stand, I think if I can weather his charge, I think I might have a chance to win it on my turn. And then I can fly behind his lines and threaten his iron blaster and really open some things up. I've got the paladin looking at his saber tusk. So now if he wants to do anything, like, I mean, really, the best threat this guy has is to go after my trebuchet. But he's got to pass a march test, which is not easy for a saber tusk. And again, I can throw a fireball at him. So I throw a fireball at him, my opponent lets it go through, and I only do 1 wound. So, not the end of the world. I was kind of disappointed. And let's see. I throw a comet at him. I think he uses his Dispel Scroll to stop it. Lobbing rocks over there, and one of them scatters off, hits his Gnoblars. Absolutely destroys them. But that's okay. They're on a Leadership 9 rerollable, and they wanted nothing to do with that. They ran off the board. So we both got to have a good chuckle. What a waste of a trebuchet shot, but you never know when that might help. So we go to Ogres turn 2. Those bulls on the hill charge my Peg Knights. Otherwise, he's just kind of just shuffling things around on the hill. Takes his characters out of his Iron Gut unit and put them in with his Stubborn Man-Eaters. That's not a bad idea. And if you look at that thing, his bulls charge my Peg Knights, and he rolled an Ogre charge. So now they're getting D3 impact hits each. Darn it. That was not what I was hoping for. This stupid saber tusk, not only does it weather the fireball, then it passes its march test and gets all the way over here. Now, this isn't the end of the world. My paladin is just going to do the same thing. He can also move 16 inches, get right in front of the saber tusk again so he can't charge around him, and throw yet another fireball at him. And I should say that all game long I was rolling big magic phases. And then my opponent goes to his magic phase. He casts something relatively insignificant, and he rolls a miscast, then he rolls a dimensional cascade, then his level 4 gets sucked down into the warp, and he puts a wound on his BSB. He kills, looks like he kills 2. Let's see, how many man-eaters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm blanking out how many he started with. He may not have killed any man-eaters, may have just done some wounds. I don't know. I'll take it. So his magic is completely gone. His man-eaters look like they're slightly hurt. And, yeah. His Iron Blaster kills a couple knights. And after combat, so even with the D3 impact hits, it looks like he does a total of only 3 wounds to me. And it looks like I do between 4 or 5 wounds back, because I see a wound marker back there. And I will take it. I'll take that all day long. So now I'm thinking 4 Peg Knights against 2 Bulls. I like my chances. If I can win on my opponent's turn, that means I can start doing some things. So there's not a whole lot I can do. Those Peg Knights can't charge any of his units and do significant damage to him. But if I can threaten his Iron Blaster, then he's got to deal with me. So Bretonnia turn 2. I have to admit, I'm really, really liking my chances in the game right now. My opponent being down a bunch of points. He's just set up all on that. If he comes off the hill, I can just start double and triple charging him. And if he stays in the hill, I can comet him. And it's still a good place for trebuchets because everything is right near each other. So let's see. I take 1 paladin out, put it in front of his man-eaters, so he just can't go anywhere. If he does charge him, then I think I can countercharge with 2 or 3 night buses and have a really good chance of annihilating the man-eaters. Paladin comes down to block up that saber tusk. Probably about the last time I'm going to be able to do this trick. Hopefully it's enough. Yeah, and there's that. I'm thinking this might have been a little premature. I mean, I don't know what I was worried about his man-eaters coming off the hill towards me. I mean, if he does that, that means I just auto 2 or 3 charge him. And even if he's stubborn, yeah, it's tough. Because if he doesn't break, you know, just those tyrants can do so much damage that turn after turn, it's not like I'm eventually necessarily going to win it. So anyway, I thought it'd be a bright idea just to hem him in and cast Comet behind him. And after combat, yeah, this time, even without the charge, his bulls decide to do even more wounds to me and beat the Peg Knights in combat. So that's bad. That's really bad. You never want to lose on your turn. I was excited for the possibilities there, and it wasn't going to be. And my Comet, I think I cast a boosted Comet for some dumb reason, and I didn't get it to go off. So I go to Ogres turn 3. He's still content just to sit on the hill and does not charge my Paladin. He does put a Saber Tusk out in the middle of the board, and that's just a real problem. Those Saber Tusks, and there's two of them actually. One of them will have to take a March test, and so that's kind of nice. But the other one is just rough. I don't have my Ruby Ring anywhere near there, and yeah, it's just, he can just cause problems when I need some crucial charges. And over here, yeah, my Ruby Ring guy's messing around with this guy now. There's nothing he can do. My next turn, I can try to get another fireball off on him. Other than that, he's sunk. Meanwhile, my general's hiding out here behind the hill, afraid of his Iron Blaster, not posing any kind of threat whatsoever. Yeah, so here's all his lines. Take his characters out of his man-eaters and puts them back in with the Iron Guts. And shoots a cannon at this trebuchet, hits it, wounds it, and then only does 3 wounds. So I thought that was nice. Yeah, we go to Bretonnia turn 3. So let's see. Oh wait, by the way, it looked like on his turn, his bulls charged my Peg Knights on the left, pushed them off the table, but then failed their charge into my trebuchet. So I do a swift reform with my bowmen, and they fail it, so they can't shoot. So that's kind of a bummer. I take my Peg Knights and charge a Saber Tusk. And my thinking was that I would take my Paladin and march him behind the Peg Knights, so that if my opponent charges, I can do a kind of a double flee. I can flee the Peg Knights, run through my Paladin. They won't be able to complete to the Peg Knights because my Paladin's in the way, something like that. The problem is he failed his March test, and so he couldn't do it, so I just moved him to the side. Another problem is he's got a Saber Tusk behind my lines that I wasn't paying attention to when I did this. So in the end, I think what would have been better is to move my Knight buses farther apart, so that one Saber Tusk can't block up 2 Knight buses, and just been patient with everything. Yeah, so there's that. There's these guys, but they can't do anything. And after combat, yeah, I win. So this turn, I think I got a Comet cast this turn. And my trebuchets, if you notice, I'm not saying anything about them. With the exception of killing those Noblars, the trebuchets are just scattering off, doing a whole lot of nothing. So we go to Ogres turn 4. So yeah, he charges my Peg Knights, I flee, he charges the Saber Tusk, and then he catches them, and the man-eater is able to reform, and it kind of totally reshuffles his line like this. If you see, there's a between the Thunder Tusk and his Iron Guts, he's got there's a die, a 4-sided die sitting there. That means there's a Comet. So unless I roll pretty well, the man-eaters are far away from the comet. After the man-eaters catch him and reform, his characters jump back in with them. So, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of dancing go around here. His iron guts look like they're depleted. They're not. They just wouldn't fit. Or they wouldn't stay on there. Saber Tusk, because I was unable to deal with them, charges the trebuchet. At this point, I don't really care. And these guys charge the trebuchet, go off the table. So my shooting, which has been ineffectual all day, still doesn't do a whole lot. Go to Bretonnia turn 4. Look at the right. The trebuchet got charged by the Saber Tusk, and the Saber Tusk couldn't do even the single last wound on it, and then my guy didn't break because my general's right there. So now I moved my general out because my opponent's Iron Blaster is in a position where I don't think he can shoot me around the hill. So he's probably too late to help a whole lot, but he's going to try. And I take this paladin and park him in front of his man-eaters. I just need to make sure he can't charge me, and just trying to bottle him up again. And remember, there's a comet back there, so I want him to have to be there for the comet. So the comet goes off. It doesn't roll especially well. It rolls enough to get his Iron Blaster, which is nice, and blows it up. Puts a bunch of wounds on the Thunder Tusk. It whittles down his Iron Gut unit to where they've now lost 3 guys total. But it doesn't reach his man-eaters, and that would be big. The man-eaters are stubborn, and with that, I need to kill them all. So Ogres turn 5. Yeah, he charges the paladin. He moves his Iron Guts up. I am really liking my position here. He moves his Saber Tusk in front of my rightmost knight unit. That's just a hassle. My thinking is I might have to just charge the Iron Guts. If I do, I think I can get those points. Yeah, I can get those points, but the problem is, he still has 2 characters in his man-eaters, which are a lot of points as well. But we'll see. Shouldn't be greedy. Over here, because he beat the trebuchet on the Bretonnian turn, he was able to turn around and then he charged my level 4. So that's bad. So I got away, and I was fairly likely to get away. But the problem is now she needs I think an 8 to rally. And if she doesn't rally, that's going to be a lot of points going off the table. And yeah, looks like there's another comet that I placed right there. So hopefully that'll help with the man-eaters. And after combat, yeah, so this, yeah, okay. So he easily kills the paladin, overruns. I'm really lucky that he didn't get into my knights. I don't remember what he needed. He would have needed a decent roll to get there, but he didn't. But he did get it far enough up that it's kind of good for him, kind of bad for him. It's bad for him now that his Saber Tusk was blocking my BSB's unit, but now if I charge at least 1 unit into his man-eaters, the BSB's unit can charge a Saber Tusk and then overrun into the flank of the man-eaters. And there's only 3 man-eaters left. And that's still a lot of wounds. That's 9 wounds I need to deal. And, he can move his characters up and make it kind of hard to get some of them. But that's very manageable. So my choice is, do I take 2 units? I can't really take the middle unit into his Iron Guts, as was my plan. Because if I could, I would probably charge the BSB into the Saber Tusk, overrun into the man-eaters just to hold him up, take the other units into his Iron Guts, and maybe reform one or both of them to face the flank of the man-eater unit. As it is, I'm kind of locked into going against the man-eaters, which I don't want to do because I'm not sure I can get enough guys dead. And it looks like the comet went off and didn't do a whole lot. So Bretonnian turn 5. This is it. Just take all 3 night buses into the man-eater unit. I've got to do 9 wounds to man-eaters, or they're going to be stubborn 9 rerollable, and that's going to be really scary. He just fled with the Saber Tusk because I was just automatically going to kill it and get into the flank anyway. Yeah. So during magic, I don't think I got anything of significance off. During shooting, I don't have any shooting left really. So we go to the combat phase, and I make a huge blunder. Basically, it's my turn. I get to issue a challenge first if I want to, and I don't issue a challenge. Now he takes his Tyrant up, puts it in the front right corner, right in front of my BSB. And basically, because if I would have issued a challenge with my BSB, I would have gotten tons and tons of attacks on man-eaters, because either he would have moved his champion over to my BSB, or he would accept it with his tyrant. Either way, I have tons of attacks on man-eaters. Because I didn't issue a challenge, he accepts with his champion on the left. And now, no matter who I accept with, that whole night bus on the left isn't going to go do anything in combat. So, yeah, that's bad. So I'm just kicking myself. So, yeah, he issues a challenge with his champion. I accept with my BSB because I thought the tyrant would just kill him anyway. And then his champion kills my BSB. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Darn it. Now I'm screwed. There's no way I'm doing enough wounds. I've got a whole night bus not contributing any wounds to combat. I'm not going to do enough wounds. He's going to be stubborn 9 rerollable. And then the Iron Guts are going to charge in there. And if I'm lucky, we all sit there the rest of the game. And if I'm not lucky, I'm going to suffer a huge loss right here. Let's see. This turn, my peasants can shoot, and they shoot this unit. They do a bunch of wounds. He's down to 33% of the unit, so I'm not getting half points yet, and he didn't panic. And I can't describe. You had to be here for this. So I totally screw things up. Rolls in combat go my opponent's way. I still win combat by a bunch, but his champion killing my BSB was kind of big. But I win combat. And he takes the dice and throws them, and he rolls like an 11 or 12. And you could just see it in his eyes, this sinking feeling like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm thinking, you've still got the game, man. You just have to pass a 9. You know, you've already wasted one roll, but you just need to pass a 9, and you stick, and I'm screwed. And he rolls another something above a 9 and breaks. And then his Iron Guts fail their panic and run. I chase with all 3 units because it wasn't worth being greedy about. I needed to get those points. In hindsight, I should have stayed back with 1 and threatened his Thunder Tusk, but whatever. Oh my gosh, that went from I think once I was forced to charge the man-eaters, things were scary. Once I screwed up with a challenge, it was in my opponent's. It was all in his favor, and then failing the 9 rerollable. Oh my gosh. So at this point, I think I have a 20-0. As long as I don't screw anything up. There's his Iron Guts running away. Thunder Tusk is sitting on like a wound or 2. Let's see, they rally. We go to his turn. He faces Thunder Tusk at my general just so he can do some shooting at him. Yeah, there's that. He shoots at him. It hits him. Basically, he has 2 kinds of shots. One of them has killing blow. That one just failed. The other one did a single wound. So we go to my turn 6. My choice, there was nothing I could really do except I could have charged the general at the Thunder Tusk. I thought I was sitting on a 20-0, so I was like, you know what? Why risk it? I'm just not going to do anything. Let's call the game there. We added it up, and it was a 17-3. And who knows? I probably should have charged him in. My general has a 2-up rerollable, so unless things are really super high strength, I'm usually not too worried about it. But I should have done it. I should have done it, darn it. So, but the game ended up being a 17-3 victory to me. I was so elated at being saved from bad decision-making. Yeah, it was horrible bad luck for my opponent, losing his caster turn 1, and then failing that rerollable break test on turn 5. I mean, just horribly, horribly bad luck. Once he lost his spellcaster, I thought I would have been able to do a better job of hurting him with magic and shooting, but my shooting just wouldn't hit anything. It was scattered all game, and then at the end of it, I think I only got 2 comets off, and one of them didn't do anything. So really, only 1 comet helped me. So I was a little bit. I don't want to say it was horribly unlucky, but I was just surprised that I wasn't able to use the magic dominance to my advantage a little bit better. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think that's the case in this game. So at the end of game 5, I'm heading up to table 5 for the final game. Table 5 means, I assume, that I'm about number 10 in the tournament at that point. And I'll take it. If you remember, if you follow the tournament, I mean, 3 of my 5 games have essentially been draws. And the 2 that weren't draws were a 17-3 and a 20-0. So the strategy is kind of working for me, and that is, be patient, take a draw, and hope to get some big wins. If I can get a big enough win at this last game, I'll be really close to my goal, and that's not a bad place to be. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has several functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like the video, you can leave a comment, you can favorite the video. I want you to know that I appreciate it when you do things like that. It feels much more interactive than simply me talking to a screen. So if you're willing to do so, please like, comment, and favorite the videos. Subscribe to the channel if you want, and you certainly are welcome to share this video on your blog or other websites if you are so inclined. Again, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.